So men who weren't able to conceive with their partners. And they checked all of their mouths and they found that over 90% of these men had some sort of oral infection or dental disease of some sort going on. There was a study done and they found, so they looked at a group of subfertile men, so men who weren't able to conceive with their partners, and they checked all of their mouths and they found that over 90% of these men had some sort of oral infection or dental disease of some sort going on. They split the group into two. Half the group had the treatment that was needed. So I don't know if they had gum disease or decay, they got it fixed. And the other half were left to their own devices. After 8 months, there was a 70% improvement in their success for pregnancy. The men who'd had their oral infection sorted, and they had a much better improvement in their sperm quality and motility as well.
What did they do to those men in that group where they saw the significant improvement?
So, for example, if the man had gum disease, they would treat it with hygiene, or if they had an infected tooth, maybe they would take it out or do a root canal or etc. They would just have to treat that infection. So I speak a lot about gum disease all the time, but actually there's so many other oral diseases like decay or toothache or all those types of things that can also contribute inflammation and problems.
In that study, 6 months after their sperm had improved by 20%, and after 8 months, 50% of their wives were pregnant.
Yes.
That is staggering.
Yeah.
What about women, though? Is there a similar sort of result as it relates to women's fertility?
Yes. So research has also found that if a woman has gum disease, she is less likely to ovulate. And also she's going to have issues with conception. So they found that women with gum disease, it takes them 2 months longer to conceive versus a woman who doesn't have gum disease. But once the woman has conceived, the issue is still not over. She still has to maintain her gums. So firstly, a lot of women will have pregnancy gingivitis. So this is basically super inflamed, puffy gums because of all the hormones. And so they should be going very regularly to see their hygienist. But also what the research has found is that women who are pregnant and have gum disease are at a much higher risk of preterm birth, so premature babies, low birth weight, and also preeclampsia as well. So they did a study in Malawi. It was on 10,000 women. So Malawi has the highest rate of preterm birth in the world at just about, I think, just under 20%. And preterm birth is a big issue for governments, for hospitals. It's really expensive. You need to keep the woman and the child in the hospital for a lot longer, but also that child will have a whole myriad of problems afterwards as well. So weirdly, Wrigley's, the chewing gum company, sponsored this study. They went to Malawi. They had these 10,000 women. They split them up into two. 5,000 of those women were given sugar-free chewing gum, toothbrush, and some toothpaste, and the other half were left alone. And they found that there was a 20% improvement, or 20%, reduction in preterm birth in the woman who'd had the sugar-free chewing gum compared to the woman who hadn't had it. So something so cheap and so easy like chewing gum was able to actually reduce the risk of preterm birth for these women.
How and why?
So if you look into the research a little bit more, you're going to get your chewing gum now.
Yes.
So sugar-free chewing gum has been shown to stimulate your saliva. So it helps with what we were talking about earlier. Saliva is super important when it provides all the good food for your bacteria. But then also if it's sugar-free, let's say it's using xylitol, that's naturally antibacterial. So it's killing a lot of the bacteria in the mouth. And what they found is that there are certain oral bacteria that can travel down to the placenta and can also cause problems there and essentially increase the chance of preterm birth.